Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics Snake Mountain figure stands. So this is the second set of figure stands that have been released from Mattel. They have already given us Castle Grayskull themed stands that we could use for our heroic warriors, so they are now following that up with these new Snake Mountain themed diorama stands. Are these going to be worth it for your figures? Are they going to be good for displaying them, or are they going to kind of be duds? We're going to take a look at exactly how they work and see if they function well for displaying your action figures. So first things first, the Snake Mountain stands do come in a standard white mailer box that have the Masters of the Universe Classics logo on the front and Snake Mountain stands underneath that. And then within the box, we receive 5 of the plastic Snake Mountain stands. We get a simple sheet of instructions that show you everything that comes with the set and how to apply the pegs for the figures. We also get 5 of the rock formations that you can use to kind of style the stands however you want to. And then we get a small pouch with a small little tool and all of the little pegs that you can attach to each of the figure stands. So first things first, let's go ahead and look at the designs of the figure stands themselves. Now, these do kind of follow that rocky lava pattern that you would see outside of Snake Mountain. The one thing that's really kind of blatant about these is that they are black as opposed to the purple that we would probably rather be seeing on these. At least, well, that's one thing that really kind of caught my attention right off the bat. And even when they first revealed these back at PowerCon, I asked if black was going to be the final color, if we were going to see them more in purple, but they told us then and there that they were going to come out in black. I think a nice, at least even like a purple wash to go over the black would have looked really cool and kind of would have harkened back to the old Snake Mountain playset a little bit more, but nonetheless, we did kind of get just a straight plain black. It doesn't really look like there's any kind of color difference in the paint job. The sculpt is really nice on there. It's real rocky. The terrain is real bumpy with a lot of crevices in it, so the black paint does look nice on it, but there's not a whole lot of shading or anything like that going on. Then down in the corner, you've kind of got the little lava thing going on because there's always the rivers of lava flowing from Snake Mountain, so that's kind of cool. But it's just a solid red with a little bit of a black wash on it to give it a little bit of variance in the paint job. The underside of it is just a solid black. It does have the Masters of the Universe Classics logo embedded on it there, but that's the only real detail on the underside. Now, all 5 stands are shaped exactly the same. You see, we can kind of hold them all up here, and you can see that they're all exactly the same in style. They've all got the same red lava piece up in the corner. They're the same shape through and through all the way around. The paint jobs vary a little bit between them, but it's just the amount of black wash mostly is what the difference is between them. But they're the same shape, all 5 of them. So the way that works is that you can actually kind of set them side to side. They kind of interlock. They don't actually snap together or anything like that. They're just kind of meant to slide up against each other a little bit so that you can display them however you want to display them on the shelf. That way, if you kind of want to lay them out long ways and set figures up going across, you can do that. If you want to set up more of a little theme, like a scenery going on there, you can do that too. The only real problem with this is that lava piece there doesn't really flow together between all the pieces. With them being all exactly the same and the same shapes, you can't really form them together so that there's like a flowing river of lava or anything like that. It's a little odd, and I'm not really sure I like it because of that. I mean, you can find ways to get the lava kind of touching, but as you can see from the way I've got all those set up there, I mean, it doesn't really look very uniform. I've kind of played around with them a little bit, and I can't find a really good way of setting them up. It looks like the best is, this is probably about as close as we can get right here. I don't know. It doesn't really work as well as you would hope it would. You can kind of get 2 pieces to almost flow together, but once you try adding any more to that, it just doesn't work. So I would almost suggest just kind of doing the side-to-side thing and making it several little streams of lava. That seems like it would work a lot better. Of course, one of the other things that's a little strange about that is with this being the whole area that the figure would be standing on, they do almost have to put one foot standing in the lava. Not always. You can find ways to pose them so that they don't, but you do have this whole corner over here that would be unused. And there's even a peg hole in it. So a lot of the times you're going to stand these guys on here and you can see the size of the figure with the stand. You're always going to have a foot in the lava. So I don't know. I kind of think it would have been a lot neater, if I may offer my opinion, instead of having a large thing of lava here, maybe filling in some of the cracks with small little streams of red lava flowing through them. That might have looked a lot cooler. So go ahead and throw it up there. Official word from Pixel Dan. I would have rather had a nice purple wash over this and the lava going through the crevices rather than the way they look. So that's just my opinion on this. All right. So let me show you exactly how this works as far as setting the stands up. So you've got this little tool, and if you've already had the gray skull stands, you know exactly how this works. This is exactly like those. So if you want to add the little rock formations to the figure stands to kind of vary up the display options a little bit, you take these small little pegs. You can see they've got a fat end and a skinnier end on there. You actually just plug the smaller end into this little tool here, and then you pick whichever hole you want to put the peg in on there, and you use the tool to help you snap the peg in place. So it works really well. It's very easy to do. It pops it in there, and then it's locked in, and it's nice and tight. And then you can just take this little piece of rock formation that's got the little hole in it, and you can plug it in to the little peg that's sitting on there. So that way, and then you can kind of swivel it around or however you want to do it. But that way it adds a little bit of a variance to the display. You've got your cool little rock formation on there. Now, it's the exact same way with wanting to display the figures. You decide where you want the figure to stand, and then you take the little pegs. You just snap them in there like that. And then you can take your action figure and you can plug them into these little pegs, and they stand on there. Now, just like with the Castle Grayskull stands, these pegs don't really lock into the figure's feet all that tight. They're a little small and a little loose, and you can see that, like, I've got Skeletor snapped onto that peg, and it doesn't really do all that great of a job of holding him up. I mean, his Ramstone, his Havoc Staff does a better job of holding him up than that does. So it works, but it doesn't work. You've really got to kind of find the right position. And of course, there we go. We've got Skeletor with his foot in the lava river. So that's exactly what I was worried about happening with these from the get-go. But it is very easy to assemble them. If you want to do 2 pegs, you can do 2 pegs. That way you can have each of your figures standing with 2 foot pegs on there. That might help them stand up a little bit better than they were. Get Stinkor clipped on here, if we can get him on there. One of the other things I don't like about these pegs is they've got the little split in them, and they have a tendency, when you're trying to put the figure on it, where they separate like this, and the figure just kind of squashes it a little bit. So it's interesting. I'm not sure why that happens. But this is how it works. So you can get your figures plugged on there. You can set them up. It is kind of cool for a little diorama display piece if you kind of want to set up a little diorama scene to put all your figures on. You don't even necessarily need to use the pegs if they're not really going to work all that well for you. You can just kind of stand all your figures up. Just like this, and it's cool. It is cool. I like having like the diorama scene going on. I think that is a neat idea. But just like with the Castle Grayskull stands, I'm just not really that fond of these particular stands. Now, there's some people out there that will probably love these, and more power to you. Nothing wrong with that. They're a pretty neat looking design. They're a little flawed in some of the paint job and such. As I explained, some things I'd like to see a little bit better. But like I said, the diorama stuff is still kind of neat. So there you go, guys. Honestly, if you ask me, I would rather them do some kind of a cool tiered figure stand display. Recently with the WWE figures, they did this awesome tiered figure stand that you can set up and rearrange however you want to. And it's just a simple figure stand set up in a tiered motion. It's great for saving space. If they did something like that with Masters of the Universe Classics, I'd be all over it because it would save a lot more room on my shelf. Stuff like this takes up more room than just standing the figures by themselves, and I tend not to use these as much, but there you go. Again, just another personal opinion of mine. If you guys are interested in these Snake Mountain stands, they will be available on MattyCollector.com on May 15th, 2012. Until next time.